Hello and welcome to My Loudest Thoughts. Today I comment to you at a time when the world is in an absolute dire straits. We have conflicts going all around the world, just to name a few. We have the Civil War type of thing going on in Haiti. We have Venezuela. We have something that looks like it could be popping off in Myanmar. Something might be popping off between China and India. We have Israel and Palestine, and we have the Ukraine and Russia. And that's just to name a few, okay? There are armed conflicts going on, I believe, every continent in the world except maybe North America and Australia. I have a feeling if I was to dig deep enough, there's armed conflicts going on in Central America, which is part of North America. So our continent probably is in an armed conflict as well. Then we have the situation of the election that's coming up and the fact that there's already been two very credible attempts on Trump's life, possibly three or maybe even four. But whenever we talk about Ukraine and Russia, that one's mostly been the same since the very beginning, right? There's been developments and everything, but it hasn't changed drastically in the past few months or anything like that. My problem is I don't want our tax money going there, and that's where it's going. And so that very much upsets me, especially at a time when we have a hurricane and people who have lost their entire homes and everything, and they are getting very little to no assistance from the government. In fact, the government is actually blocking good people who are trying to come out there on their own dime to help assist these people and everything else, and the government is actually standing in their way. So I have a pretty big problem with that. At the same time, we've given Ukraine, I don't know, some estimates put it up to $200 billion so far. And then we have the illegal migrants, and apparently FEMA has given just shitloads, billions and billions of dollars to illegal immigrants. Well, I should say immigrants, right? Some are legal, some are illegal, but when I say that some are legal, I mean what they did is the government has given them a free pass for asylum, including from places like Venezuela and Haiti. Okay, Venezuela I have a massive problem with because Venezuela is on the top, I think it's in the top 5 of terrorist threats to America, and they have a free pass to come in here under asylum. Basically means that they get no checks, they can change their name, they can do all that. All they have to do is say that they're afraid to go home. Same with Haiti. Now, when it comes to Haiti, I want to make this very, very, very clear, okay? When it comes to Haiti, I don't think anyone in the world has a better reason to flee their country than someone who lives in Haiti. Okay, the Haitians absolutely have an asylum case. 100% in my opinion. Okay, Haiti is currently being ran or at least influenced heavily by a gang. I can't remember the name of the gang, but the gang leader is named Barbecue. Now, he got that name from literally burning people alive and eating them. Okay, they are literally eating each other over there. So I think that Haitians absolutely have a good reason to want to flee their country and everything. The thing I don't understand with the illegal immigration and the temporary protected status that the Haitians and Venezuelans are getting is, this is going to sound terrible, I get it, but why can't we have a quarantine camp? What? Okay, a place, you know, a fenced-in area with lots of armed guards and everything else where we have housing and food and water and all that kind of good shit, where we put all these illegals, we put all these immigrants who want to come here under asylum and everything, we put them here for, say, 90 days or whatever, while we figure out who they are, why they're here, the whole 9 yards, and then decide if we want to accept them into the country as a whole or not. Because right now what we're doing is we're just letting them all in, and that counts the good people as well as the rapists, the murderers, the gang members, and that leads to a situation like in Aurora, where we have the Tren de Aragua, and they're up in Chicago, and they're up in New York, and they're all around the place, right? But then we have the crazy cultural things that are happening. And by the way, the illegal immigration thing, it's not just happening here in America. It's happening in the entire Western world, okay? Basically, all of Europe is having this problem. We're having this problem. I think even Australia is having this problem, right? Once again, I'm in America, so I care more about America than the rest of the world. So here in America, we have the election coming up. There's been 2 attempts on one of the candidates' life, 2 very credible threats. A third one that I think is also credible, just didn't get a lot of press. A lot of people don't even know that it occurred. Anyway, so that happened. And then you have the massive amounts of inflation that have been going on under the Biden-Harris administration. And I will say it's their fault. Some of it's due to COVID. I think the massive amounts of money that we printed caused inflation. Obviously, so many things are causing inflation right now. I would have to get into that topic specifically to try and cover even half of it. Then we have the threat of AI coming in, because AI is going to be a thing here in the very near future, I think, in a much bigger way. And I will tell you this, if you work in any industry that AI can help you with, you need to be using it, okay? I don't like it. I don't like where we're going with it and everything. But at the end of the day, history has taught me one thing, and that's that progress doesn't wait on anyone. So you need to use AI regardless of your feelings about it. If you work in an industry where AI can be helpful, you need to be using AI. Okay, I use AI. If you look at my, my logo and my backdrop for my YouTube page and all that stuff, that's all done by AI. Okay, I would love to pay somebody to make that stuff for me, but currently that's just not a realistic possibility, and therefore I use AI because I can use it for free. And by the way, I've been using Grok from Twitter. I don't think it's the best AI system out there, but when I ask it hard questions, it gives me answers. Okay, Grok is much easier to get to play games with you than other AI systems, right? For instance, if you ask most AIs, and I think even Grok will do this, if you ask them about, say, the Illuminati, it'll just tell you that it's bullshit. But with every other one, if you go, well, let's play the hypothetical of if it existed, what would it look like, so on and so forth. And the rest of them just don't want to do it. A lot of them will just shut off. They'll make you start a new conversation, whatever. They don't want to deal with the subject whatsoever. If you ask Grok, it will just start pulling up all the conspiracy theories throughout the years, and it'll just give you a list of links to click on and stuff, and like, oh, here's some interesting stuff I found, right? It's probably not true, but go ahead, have fun with it. And whenever you asked a lot of the AIs here recently, it's probably been changed now because people made a big deal out of it. But there for a while, if you ask the AI systems out there, like Microsoft's AI or Google's AI, why you should vote for Donald Trump, it would give you no answer at all and tell you, hey, we can't back a political figure, so on and so forth, so you're going to have to do your own research. But if you asked it about Harris, it would give you a bunch of reasons. Grok gives you a bunch of reasons no matter which one you pick, right? And Grok surprisingly does not seem to be biased. I'm really kind of impressed with it. What I think it does is it pulls stuff from the internet as well as X, and it just gives you all of that. It just paraphrases all the talking points that people are talking about on the internet, and Grok doesn't seem to give a shit if it's real or not. It doesn't really seem to care. Now, if you ask it about a situation like the conflict in Haiti, it will tell you what it thinks. I'm going to say what seems to be true. And then it will give you a bunch of articles so you can go on from there, as well as several X accounts and stuff that have been covering the issue. Here in America, we also have had a problem with shootings, and recently I covered it in Guns Are Not the Problem. Shootings are not really as big of a deal as people make them out to be. The shootings here in America are definitely a problem. Absolutely, innocent people getting shot is always going to be a problem. But the shootings here in America, for the most part, that get counted towards these numbers, such as mass shootings and stuff, are actually suicides. Okay, they are, which I know I'm not allowed to say that word, but that's what they are. Okay, they are self-deletions. And the rest, a lot of the rest of them are gang violence and stuff. And so whenever you really break it down, what you find is like school shootings and mass shootings that we think of, what we think of as mass shootings and school shootings, are like 1% of what's going on. Actually, I think they're even less than 1%, right? And the number really hasn't climbed since Columbine. It's kind of ridiculous. I went over the numbers in another video, but like the numbers have climbed a little bit over the years, but it's taken decades. What has gone up drastically, though, is the suicide rate. The suicide rate has gone through the fucking roof, okay? Crime is going through the roof. And I blame some of the crime, I blame on illegals and stuff, but the main thing that I blame the suicide and the crime on is, and the mass shootings, is all based on culture and the fact that we have completely destroyed culture with things like trans rights, gay pride, the MAP movement, which if you don't know about the MAP movement, go ahead and check out that video. I'll try and put one of the cards up here. I don't know which direction, but one of the directions, right? Go and click on that video because I actually dug into the MAP movement a little bit. I dug into one specific group there. I will be revisiting it, but it's going to be a while because that topic's very heavy. I don't like to deal with it. I fucking hate it. It makes me sick to my stomach, and so I don't want to cover it much very often, but I will cover it because I think it's important. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to look into it because it's the next thing that I think they're going to try and attack us on from a culture standpoint, okay? The MAP movement is basically the normalization of pedophilia. And it's a really, really big problem. They have their own flag. They have their own thing. Somebody told me that there's a bunch of TED Talks on it and everything else. And what we have right now is the possibility of a civil war here in America, as well as the possibility of World War III. Okay? So at this point, they're still talking about Israel and Palestine becoming a regional war. Well, I would say at the point that Iran has fired missiles into Israel, Israel has fired missiles into Lebanon and Syria, we're already at a regional war. Russia in Ukraine, that is a total regional war, okay? That is a total war. As far as I'm concerned, it's the same thing as a regional war. Now, what I think they're talking about when they say regional war is like Poland's not involved, no other nations are directly involved, but like we're funneling so much money into it, and Russia is funneling so much money into it and everything. It's gotten ridiculous. And what we're doing right now is exactly what I was afraid of, and this is going to sound crazy, but I talked about this all the way back in like 5th grade. Okay, I talked about the fact that the one thing we did not want to happen on the geopolitical scale, and yes, this is one of the few things I understood on a geopolitics scale as a 5th grader, was that we did not want Russia and China to become too close of friends. They would be able to amass the largest military that has ever been known in the entire world. When you look at the population of China by pure numbers, it's absolutely ridiculous. They have a shitload of people. At one point, they were 1/3 of the world's population. Okay, I don't know if that still holds true, but they definitely were. And now their population is collapsing, which puts them in a position where they have to do something desperate. And no one knows what that move is going to look like. Do they push into India, which is one thing that looks possible right now? Do they push into Taiwan, which looks possible, but would be very, very difficult? So do they do that? What is it that they do? I don't know, but I do know a part of it is definitely be better friends with Russia. And I think that is bad for the world overall. So, how did all of this happen? Why are we here? In my opinion, it's because of a couple of things. One, we started hiring politicians, we started putting politicians in place that were focused on the past instead of the future. And so that has led to the transgender movement, the anti-racism movement, the communist movement, the Marxism movement. It has absolutely destroyed our culture here in America. People don't want to work. Their workplace participation is super low. People don't want to get married. People don't want to have kids. The population is collapsing. The economy is collapsing. And people are more worried about hurting each other's feelings than figuring out how to feed their family. And no one is talking about the fact that AI is a runaway train. We can't stop it. There is going to be absolutely no way to stop this train at this point. And that's going to cause a massive problem. So we've destroyed the culture, and therefore American population is now destroying America itself. And how did that happen? Well, that is because I think that Russia actually won the Cold War. Now that's a really big claim. What the fuck am I talking about, right? Well, that claim comes from the fact that one of Russia's strategies for winning the Cold War was to actually destroy America's culture, make Americans hate America, make Americans destroy America from within. And they were going to do so by infiltrating academia, culture, and the arts. Okay? And so that's what they did. They come over here, they started spreading all their ideology. They had a massive communist movement, which still exists to this day. And so now we have this situation where people care more about the feelings of others than they do feeding their own families or taking care of business or making sure our country's in a good position. I think that is all the result of the Soviet strategy to win the Cold War. They won the culture war, and it took us until just now to actually see the results. It's an absolutely ridiculous idea. I know that most of you are not going to believe me, but hey, it is what it is. That's my opinion. That's my belief on the matter. The other thing that it has caused is all this woke ideology, ideas of equity and affirmative action and all of this other shit has led to a situation where we now see a massive rise in racism, which is kind of ironic, right? All these people said that they want to get rid of racism, but what they're actually doing is putting so much focus on race that people are becoming more and more racist. Okay, so mark my words on this, okay? I'm telling you right now, the Ku Klux Klan is going to see a massive uptick in membership. You're going to see more groups like Patriot Front rising up. Okay, they're going to grow. They're going to become more a part of the day-to-day, right? They're going to be in the news more. They're going to be seen more. They're going to do more demonstrations. Groups like that are going to start existing more and more and more, okay? Now, what I'm surprised by is that the black and brown people of America have not really had a successful group in this same manner. So I've looked into it. Patriot Front is absolutely a white supremacist group. Okay, they claim that they're not, and I kind of get their point. Okay, I've listened to plenty of interviews with their leader. I kind of get his point, but at the end of the day, they are a white supremacist movement. His point is that they don't feel that, white people are any better than anyone else, but at the same time, they absolutely believe that America should be ran by white people exclusively because that is the founding stock of America. And that everyone else can be here, but they should never actually be allowed to even become citizens. Now, in their mind, that's not racist. I think it is, okay? I think it's extremely racist. I think that they're white supremacists. But at the same time, I believe in the First Amendment, unlike John Kerry.
Our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence.
So I believe that they have the right to say this. I believe that the Ku Klux Klan has the right to say what they want. And I believe that all these other groups have the right to say what they want. I remember when the NFAC was around and I supported their right to do what they were doing as long as it stayed peaceful. I will give it to the NFCA. As far as I remember, the only time that they shot anyone was one of their members accidentally shooting themselves. Or maybe it was another member, but either way, they didn't, shoot at police or anything like that. So I always gave them the leeway because kind of had to, right? Now, I spoke against them because I didn't believe in their ideas. However, I believed in their right to say their ideas and so on and so forth, and thought it could have been a good movement until I looked into their leader, Grandmaster Jay, and realized that he was a liar. And that they were letting just anyone that showed up walk around with them with a gun and so on and so forth. And that's how we got into a situation where there was an accidental shooting at one of their demonstrations, and then after that they disappeared. Black Lives Matters, well, they were doing really good until it came out that they spent, I think it was $200 million on prostitutes in 1 year. They said, I don't know if that's the right number, but it was an absolutely ridiculous amount of money that they had spent on prostitutes. And if I remember right, they were transgender prostitutes too. So that's absolutely ridiculous. So that's what we have as far as the American Civil War, right? We have a bunch of ideology. We have an economic downturn. We have low workplace participation. We have all of these things going on that could lead to a civil war. As far as the world scale goes, I mean, you have the same issues. Realistically, you have the same issues. You have conflict, and then you have conflicts popping up all over the place. When you go and look at a map of conflict zones before World War II, places of tension versus places of tension and armed conflict in today's world, what you will find is that the conflict and tension in today's world is spread out much, much further and much, much more frequent throughout the world than it was back in the day that World War I and World War II started. So, if I'm being totally honest, at this point, I don't understand how we avoid World War III with America supporting nations in foreign conflicts. I cite Israel and Ukraine, okay? I personally think the only way to avoid World War III, and maybe it's already too late, but either way, the only way to avoid that is actually to just not support any of these wars in any way whatsoever other than diplomatically. Actually, what I believe should have happened is that America should have told Israel, hey, look, you go do what you want to do. We already helped you with the Iron Dome. We will help you arm the Iron Dome. Not anything else. We will help you arm your own missile interception systems. We will help you do that. That's it. And the same should have been done with Ukraine. Actually, I take that back. I have recently been looking into Ukraine a bit. There's another video I want to do. I want to do a video on modern day slavery. And when I was looking into that, I found that Ukraine actually has a massive, and I mean massive, problem with modern day slavery. And one of the big reasons that they have such a big problem with it is them, as well as Turkey. They have zero laws against the sexual exploitation of children. And for that reason, and that reason alone, I can sit here and say that we never should have given Ukraine a dime. We shouldn't have even given them diplomatic cover, and they never should have even been in the conversation of joining NATO, in my opinion. Because I'm sorry, but any nation who is not protecting its children from sexual exploitation, in my opinion, does not have the right to exist. Period. Just does not have the right to exist. So anyway, guys, that's the video. Thanks for listening to me rant about all of this shit. I kind of like the idea of the new format. I know that the tinfoil hat's going to disappear due to the backdrop. It reflects too much. Yeah, great idea to wear a tinfoil hat on in front of a green screen. But anyway, just let me know if you like it. Check out my other videos, especially the ones on the normalization of pedophilia. That's a really big one that I really want people to see because it is actually important. What I did is I went into a specific group on the internet that is very open about the fact that they want to get rid of the age of consent laws and everything else, and they truly want to normalize pedophilia, and they're very open about it. And so I exposed that for what it is. I really want people to see that video and see that, yes, this is happening. It is real. I don't want people to continue to ignore this. I want to get back into that. I want to deal with the Ukrainian modern day slavery. The problem is that that's a war-torn country right now, so it's very hard to get information on something like that because most of the reporters there are dealing with the war. They're not going around looking for these slavery operations and things like that. So it's been pretty difficult to find information on. I think I will do a video on just like the overall modern day slavery that's going on in the world, and everything like that. And so that'll be a cool video. Yeah. Anyway, please like, comment, subscribe, share, do all of those things, because like, guys, the only way that a lot of these things are going to get out there is if you guys actually do like, comment, subscribe, and share this, because like, I'll tell you right now, most of my views come from people that I send the video to directly. Anyway, peace out.